Fasces, a Latin word to describe a bundle of wooden rods accompanied with an axe. A word that would be later adopted by Benito Mussolini to reinforce his ruling philosophy. One wooden rod can be easily broken by the axe, but if you bind a lot of rods together, they can withstand much more force. This was the basis behind the word that would eventually be derived from fasces, which is fascism. So today, let's learn about fascism through Minecraft. I hope you enjoy. To start, let's assume that a village called the Leaf Village is under a time of extreme hardship. In the actual context in Italy, this would be the country after the fallout of World War I. For the Leaf Village, this would include economic troubles, political fragmentation, and a general sense of hopelessness from the people. Now, this is an awful state for the village to be in, but this would actually be key to the eventual rise of one leader, which we'll name Dr. Villager. This man would use both his natural charisma and propaganda to become a sign of hope and the village's solution to the people. Once he had become the symbol of prosperity to the Leaf Village, Dr. Villager would usher in a fascist regime. Now, what does this entail for the Leaf Village? Well, the first thing would be the elimination of other political parties, so that Dr. Villager's group is the only party in the state. A fascist regime will only have one party. That party also will have an authoritarian rule. Whatever Dr. Villager says and wants must happen. He has the absolute power. Now, fascism isn't just about the absolute rule of Dr. Villager. In fact, the main focus of fascist regimes isn't on the leader himself. It's actually on the nation. So in this case, the Leaf Village. In fascism, the strength and unity of the nation must be put above all else, even the lives of the citizens. This is where the wooden rods come in. When the nation is united, aka the bundle is tightly packed, the axe cannot break it, and that's the reasoning behind it. Everything that the people of the Leaf Village do must be in the benefit of the village, with no exceptions. But who decides what is good for the village and what is not? Well, that power, of course, lies in the hands of Dr. Villager. The fascist leader is seen to hold the national will of the Leaf Village, and whatever he says is good for them must be true. It's kind of like how in a monarchy, the king has the god's will. This is also part of the reason why this regime is a one-party system. Other parties that oppose the views of Dr. Villager are consequently seen as parties that oppose the goals and prosperity of the nation itself. So they cannot continue existing in this system. Now, Dr. Villager doesn't just stop here with the nationalism, as fascism uses something called ultranationalism as a core principle. If you thought ultranationalism was some evolved version of nationalism, you're actually not that far off. For a villager that lives in a Leaf Village, they would put the interest and needs of the Leaf Village over literally everything else. Now, this also means that anyone who lives outside of the Leaf Village, like say in the Snow Village, are seen as inferior and as enemies to the interest of the nation. They develop a xenophobic type hatred towards anyone other than their own. For example, the belief of racial superiority seen in Nazism, where they believed that their race was the best one and used that as a reason and justification to commit atrocities on the inferior and quote-unquote subhuman races. Now, fascism itself doesn't necessarily have racial reasons behind it, but that was definitely a development that could happen. Now, moving on from the political side, how did Dr. Villager manage the economic part of the village? Well, under fascism, most of the market and economy of the state is controlled by the government. However, private property can actually still exist, but only in a way where it serves the state, you can kind of see a theme going on here. Dr. Villager manages all the key industries and overall flow of the funds so that it strictly aligns with the Leaf Villager's goals. Now, what this goal is can be very different, but this usually means a very heavy emphasis on military spending, as well as the development of self-sufficiency, so that the Leaf Village doesn't have to rely as much on others. So off of the charismatic leadership of Dr. Villager, who promised that he would make the Leaf Village the powerhouse it used to be, plus the masses who have developed a sense of ultranationalism, who see all outsiders as enemies, it only makes sense that violence and conflict followed. And fascist regimes knew this. Dr. Villager would view violence and war as a way to rejuvenate the Leaf Villager's spirit. So all of this war and violence would be seen as something to celebrate, not to avoid. So off of the back of all of these factors, the Leaf Village would wage war on the Snow Village and become a village fitted only for violence. So you know, not the most fun to live in if you're a citizen. And that's what fascism is about. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something cool. This was definitely a fun video to make, and I hope I don't get demonetized for saying fascism so many times. But to you, best of luck with your studies, and bye bye.